Greetings, opera lovers. Live from Bloomfield, Connecticut, it's Rona Sutton. I haven't done one of these in so long that I was afraid I wouldn't remember how to use my computer to make this little audio video blog. So the Met season has begun, and I was so lucky to be able to catch the first 3 nights in my own home with my trusty headphones, very undistracted and able to listen to everything very well. And the new Met season is always something that I look forward to with great anticipation. I have tickets for some operas this year, 3 to be exact, but not any of the 3 that I heard earlier this week. So how did the Met opening do? Well, it had some disappointments and some, I wouldn't say surprises, but hopes that were more than wonderfully fulfilled. So the first disappointment was the opening night. First of all, I'm not such a big fan of the opera Samson and Delilah. I've seen it, I've heard it, I don't really know it well. It certainly has a lot of highlights, which I know. And the Met hired 2 of today's brightest stars, Alina Garanca and Roberto Alagna, to play the named titles. Miss Garanca was very eagerly anticipated in this role because she is at the height of her career. She's a beautiful woman with a beautiful voice, a very well planned out career. She started doing more lyrical mezzo roles. She's transitioning into the heavier repertoire. Unfortunately, I didn't think Dalila suited her that well. Of course, she did a good job because she's a pro. But the low notes were not seductive enough, and she actually sounded a little tentative. I can't figure that out, but that's how it sounded to me. On the other hand, we had Roberto Alagna, a very established star in the twilight of his career. Last season, he was very wonderful in the double bill of Pagliacci and Cavalleria Rusticana, to me, especially in the Cavalleria part. But this night, his voice kind of gave out a little, more than a little. He got hoarse, he was tired, you could hear it. The funny thing is, it didn't distract me that much from the enjoyment of his singing, because he too is a huge professional. He knows how to make the role work. The biggest stars of the evening were, no surprise, the orchestra and the chorus. We have a world-class opera house, if only because of these 2 elements. Conducting was Mark Elder. I can't really make that many comments about his conducting because I don't know the opera that well, and I did not follow it with a score. It seemed okay. I personally was a little disappointed in the Bacchanal. I wanted to be beyond frenzied. Of course, I can't make any comment about the scenery sets. A couple of excerpts are on the Met Opera YouTube channel. You can see for yourself. It did not get sterling reviews. Okay, enough for the opening night disappointment. Next up was La Boheme. How many La Bohemes have I seen in my life? Too many to count. In fact, I've also been in La Boheme. In my younger days, I played Musetta. And so this is an opera, I have to say, I think I know every note, maybe not when the men sing alone in the last act, but I can really hum along with everybody. So when I say this was terrific, believe me, it was terrific. The biggest kudos have to go to the conductor, a name I've only seen, James Gaffigan. Apparently, I'm the only person who didn't know about him in the music world. He just brought out such a great performance. Puccini is very careful about marking all these little diminuendos and crescendos, a little retard, a little a tempo. It's loaded with these markings. And he not only adhered to them to the letter, but he expanded on them, making the performance come so alive. Just loved it. And then there was the singing. A great cast. Let's start with Mimi. Nicole Carr. I saw her, I think it was last summer, in what we call the Outer Space La Boheme. And I actually saw it live streamed. I loved the production and I loved her. You know, to me, it's not that it's a beautiful voice, although you could say it is. It's what she does with her voice. She's so in control and she gives you so much confidence in her singing. You know, whatever she wants to do, she's going to be able to do it. And she's young. She sounds young. She sounds so fresh in this role. It was wonderful to hear. Her partner was one of my favorite tenors, Vittorio Grigolo. I know he's not everybody's favorite, but I think he's terrific. And why? Because he throws himself into the roles. He gives the audience a good time. What I don't like too much is that he takes a lot of liberties. I heard him last year in Tosca, and he took too many liberties, I felt. But with this conductor, James Gaffigan, I'm not sure if he followed Mr. Grigolo or vice versa, but whatever they did, it worked. Rounding out the cast was really a luxury casting in Musetta with Angel Blue. I heard her last season as Mimi, and oh my God, I fell in love with her. And as Musetta, terrific. I did feel that in casting her and Miss Carr together in one performance, I wasn't that fond of it. I like my Mimi and Musetta to be at opposite ends, and I felt Miss Blue, this is not a fault of hers, had too much richness in her voice and not enough playfulness in the top. But she was terrific. Um, Singing Marcello was someone also making his debut, as was Miss Carr. His name is Etienne Dupuis. He's Canadian. He is Miss Carr's husband. He sang just beautifully. You would never know that was his debut. Rounding out the cast were some other singers, but I always have to point out one of my favorite bassos was Matthew Rose. Ever since I first heard him, I think it was in Meistersinger, but I'm not exactly sure anymore. I've just loved him, and I'm glad to see that the Met uses him a lot. And so, all in all, it was a wonderful evening. Then, the last night I was able to catch live from the Met was Wednesday. Aida, a hugely anticipated event because everybody's favorite soprano, Anna Netrebko, was taking on Aida. I actually heard and saw her through live stream. Last summer, was it Salzburg? I can't remember anymore, when she did her sort of premiere of Aida. I thought it was okay. First of all, okay for Miss Netrebko is terrific. She's just a fantastic singer. She has a great technique. She knows what she's doing. She gives her all. I've never heard her give a bad performance, although I assume that there must be one or two out there. And I've heard her a lot on media broadcasts and live. So now it's 1 year later, and I thought her Aida was greatly improved in confidence. She just moved through the role magnificently. The highlights for me were the way she was able to ride over the orchestra and chorus in that vast Met House. You could hear it, even though I was not live. You could hear it through your electronic transmissions. Her two great arias, perfect. Everybody always wants to know, how did she do going up to the high C? Well, you could hear it on the Met website. They recorded from the dress rehearsal her singing O Patria Mia. It was just wonderful. She does it her way. If you're looking to hear for somebody to imitate the way Leontine Price sang it, no, that's not it. This is Anna Netrebko singing Aida in her way, a very wonderful way. And as wonderful as she was, she could not, I want to use the right words. Let's just forget what I just said. On her own, Anita Rockvelishvili was just a fabulous omnerus. I love this woman. I first heard her doing Carmen from La Scala when she made her debut. I was really, really impressed. Then I heard her do a little more here and there. Heard her do Prince Igor, a role I really didn't care for it. Not that I didn't care for her singing, I just didn't like the whole thing, so I wasn't that enamored. However, since then, I've heard her do so many things. Last season, I thought she stole the show in Trovatore. Where was this from? I can't even remember. Was it the Met? But now here she is doing Amneris, probably the greatest mezzo role ever written. I mean, she owns the judgment scene. It's just the longest thing. It's not an aria, it's a whole scene, and she doesn't do it just by herself. There are some men and chorus people involved too. She was magnificent in every way, vocally, musically, dramatically. That woman is an A-plus star. And then in the great duet between her and Mr. Trebko in the first act, that had fireworks. Ah, it was great. Unfortunately, one of my least favorite tenors, Alexander Antonenko, was Ramfis. The less I say about him, the better. The only good thing I can say is he's not really responsible for this. Somebody hired him, and they knew how he sings. This is not Met quality, and the people who go should expect better. I was going to go to at least 2 things this year at the Met, and I chose not to go because he is singing. To me, it's painful. Okay, going on. Aida's father was sung by Quinn Kelsey. I love him, and I thought he sang fabulously. It's not such a big role, but it's important. He did great. Then the 2 basso roles, I always forget who they are, The King and the Messenger, were done by Dmitry Beloselsky and Ryan Speedo Green, whose career I've been following since he was a student at the Hart School here in Connecticut, right near where I live. He's a wonderful young man. He's having a terrific arc in his career, going up, up, up. The Met is using him very well for smaller roles. I expect soon he'll be taking on the biggest roles. The conductor for La Boheme was Louis Sotti. He did, for Aida was Louis Sotti. He did a very fine job. All in all, terrific. So as you see, I needed a little cheat sheet to help me with some of the names because I'm getting older and I mess up a little. But I'm back, and I hope you'll be joining me for my little mini reviews of the operas I see, and maybe some on live stream as well. Everyone have a great day. Enjoy this gorgeous fall that we're having. Bye.